Good morning, everyone. It is September the 16th, 2025, for our policy committee meeting. All of our members are present this morning. Can I get approval of the agenda?
So move.
Second.
In favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All right. And can I get approval of open session minutes?
So
So
move.
moved.
Second.
Favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you so much. At this time, we will go over policies for second review. Attorney Morris will go over our policies and we will vote at the end on all of them at one time.
Hey, good morning, everyone. All of the policies in second review, if you recall, were to address statutory changes. And then again, I'm going to group them together as they reflect similar changes. The first two are policy 1-23 public records and policy 3-09 personnel file. These policies were reviewed by this committee back at the August meeting and by the board at the September meeting. There's been no stakeholder feedback since that time, and staff would request that these go for approval at the October meeting. Just a reminder, these revisions are being proposed to comply with a statutory change that redefined the public information related to employee salary by changing it to total compensation. I don't know if anybody has any questions about that.
No.
Okay, if not, I'll go to policy 3-03, recruitment and selection of personnel. This one was also reviewed by the committee in August and by the board in September. There's been no stakeholder input since that time, and staff would request that this go for approval at the October meeting. The revisions to this policy are being proposed to comply with a statutory change related to pre-employment criminal record background checks. Okay, there's no questions. I will keep moving. Policy 419, domicile and residence requirements. This one was also reviewed by the committee in August and by the board in September. There's been no stakeholder input since that time, and staff would request that this go for approval at the October meeting. The revisions to this policy are proposed to comply with some statutory changes related to the enrollment of military impacted students. Okay, there's no questions. The final two are policies 516 school trips and 6-08 parental involvement. These were also reviewed by the committee in August and the board in September. There's been no stakeholder input since that time, and staff would request that they go for approval at the October meeting. The revisions to this policy are to comply with statutory change that prohibits students of the opposite biological sexes to room together on a field trip unless the persons are immediate family members or there's written permission from all the parents of the students involved. That is all of the policies for second review.
Can I get a motion to take all of these policies to the full board at our next meeting?
So moved.
All right. Second.
Second.
All right. All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All right. Opposers, nay. Thank you. All right. Policies for first review.
Okay, again, similar to the last set of policies, these revisions are proposed due to recent statutory changes. And again, I'll group some together that reflect the same change. The first two are policy 319, administration of medication and/or first aid, and policy 4-06, administration of medicines. The revisions to this policy are to address a statutory change in the way that epinephrine is referenced in the previous statute, and in the policies it said auto injector. The statute has changed and the reference is now delivery system, and so we're making the change to comply with that. And staff would request that these revisions go for review at the October meeting. Any questions on that? Okay, the next policy for first review is a proposed new policy, religious-based exemptions from school programs. This policy is being recommended to address the religious objection requirement in Session Law 2025-84. and staff would request that this proposed new policy go for review at the October meeting. And just for the committee's information, this policy is drafted straight, almost verbatim from the North Carolina School Board Association's proposed policy.
Questions? All right. That was the last one.
That was, sir, yes.
Okay. I did have a question. I'm sorry. Geez, need to wake up. The policy exemption from school program, what would be an example of, what would be an example of an event or class religiously where parents would want their child exempt from that we dealt with in the past?
One that I can remember, and this goes back a long time, but that we received a religious request for an exemption from reading Harry Potter. And the request was the wizardry nature of that. And so it just would be anything that a parent would see that might have, that may violate their religious beliefs.
Okay, thank you. All right. So these are policies for first review. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Everybody sign a aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Morris. This morning for discussion, we have the operation of school nutrition services. We have definitely received a lot of feedback from this. And that was one reason why I was looking at a video that someone had sent me. I hadn't seen it, but I think we need to discuss this. This is becoming more of an issue than I think we thought. I believe that our intentions in approving this policy were good as it pertains to the debt, but I don't think we really counted up the cost on what it really looked like as it pertains to the effect of children, what have you. So if we could have discussion about that, I think that it's important on what we need to do in regards to this. So have you all heard of any concerns as it pertains to this policy?
I mean, I think, sorry, I don't want to jump over anybody, but I mean, obviously a lot of people are unhappy with it, but we're also running into the problem of we're not going to make everybody happy, right? We can't continue to accrue all the debt and to pay, lunches for everyone. Yeah, that's just not in the policy. I would love if the state would come out and say, yes, everyone's lunches are paid for, but obviously that's not the case. I I'm not a fan of the $20 debt ceiling and then having these kids have an alternate lunch. I mean, obviously you're kind of singling a kid out, but you also can't accrue the debt for the school because there's nobody there to pay for it. So I don't know what kind of resolution. I mean, you've got to serve to both sides. So I don't know, John.
Yeah, I'm echoing that as well. I unfortunately we had a lot of, we went through COVID, and so we had all the ESSER funds and everything, and during COVID, federal, state, they said, you got all these, everyone gets free lunch, and so everyone took advantage of that, and they had free lunch, and so then everyone, then they took the funds away, and everyone just assumed that that was continuing. And that was not the case. And unfortunately, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, and I don't know if Michelle or maybe finance can attest to this, but there's some things that were different with the alternate lunch. They didn't quite work out well for us, and something to that effect. But we did accrue a lot of debt. I'm sorry, I'm driving. We did accrue a lot of debt with the with these alternate lunches and everything. And if I'm not mistaken, From what I understand, a lot of this debt and a lot of these added fees that these students are accruing is, you know, snacks, not actual meals. And you know, the cookies and the chips and the ice creams and things like that. That's a majority of it. We're not taking food away from children. I don't know. I'm not sure where that came from, unfortunately. But I think that, you know, that's an issue because there has to be accountability. You know, parents do have, there is the option of applying for the free and reduced lunch, but again, there has to be accountability. There has to be some sort of policy. There has to be some sort of, in my opinion, a cap. You know, someone's going to have to pay for it. And we already don't get funding for, like, you know, for teachers. Now we're adding on top of it this, and it's just, it's mind boggling, you know, that I don't know what else. I mean, like Barry said, you know, it's kind of like what other option, if y'all can come up with another option, and if the state can do something different, okay. But right now, I just don't see, again, we have to have some sort of policy. We have to have some sort of procedures. Parents do have to be accountable for their children in some way. You know, not everything in life, unfortunately, is free. Someone has to pay for it. How do we do that? So I don't know. That's just my take on it. I don't know. I'm kind of trying to grasp it all. It's hard. I get it. Like Barry said, I wish we could do a free like we had with COVID. That would have been wonderful. But unfortunately, we don't have that option. So what do we do?
So let me ask you this question, Mr. Moore. When students go through the line, because one of the concerns about kids being embarrassed and throwing away the food. So if they go through the line and they get a hot lunch, and when they get to the cash register and they are informed that, however they say it, that you have this debt and you're not able to have this hot lunch, what do they do with that food?
So I've been in about 12 cafeterias, I'd say, since in the last 2 to 3 weeks, just kind of seeing how the whole process goes. It's not an instance where we've got a trash can sitting right beside the cash register. It's very, as a matter of fact, I have yet to see a lunch be taken away from a child, because being proactive and making phone calls and getting the notifications out to parents. Spoke with one principal last week where they told me that they had 2 students that had accrued about $500 to $600 in debt the last couple of years, and it's down to zero. They're paying their bill. And I think we're determining that because we're making those phone calls to let them know that they are in the negative and they're getting those phone calls, they're paying their bills for the most part. Our debt number is down. So the items that have been taken away, and it is like Ms. Green said, it's those a la carte items. They're being very discreetly, you know, just like if they don't have money, they'll take them away and just kind of set it over to the side. But again, I have not seen a meal taken away.
Correct.
At this point, because we're also telling the students before they get in there, you don't have the money for a meal, you're going to have to get an alternate meal, and we direct them where that's located. So our cafeteria staff, I think, is being very, very discreet about making sure that there's no embarrassment made.
Okay.
Yeah, and let me just say, you know, for an example, and I've told this to Miss Morris and whatnot, and I from experience, you know, my daughter goes to school, and all last year she was being sent with her own lunch, you know, from home, and she had her snacks, and I mean, I even when she was on her in sports, you know, afterwards, the kids on her team would be like, "Oh my gosh, Miss Green, you give Bailey the best snacks." Okay, that's great. Because, you know, but then at the end of the year, my daughter had a you know, back pay. She was in debt like $35, and I'm like, kid, you can't do that because I'm sending you with stuff. So I'd ask her, why do you have this? Why are you getting stuff in the line? Well, I wanted an ice cream, or I wanted chips, and I'm like, that's where the debt goes. And so this year I told her, you are not allowed to get you either have lunch from home or you have lunch from school. So, you have to have that, again, that accountability at home. And I told her, I said, if you're going to get a snack or something or additional like a la carte stuff at school, you can use like your Apple Pay or something and do it. You have your own card, but you're not allowed to rack up a debt. And then then I'm stuck with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not fair.
Right.
So that's what I did there. But I again, that's like Mr. Moore said, it's just a matter of the fact that it's mostly the a la carte things. But I don't know where the assumption was that that students' children are getting food taken away. I don't think we would never ever do that. I don't know why that was even.
Okay. I agree with Barry and Sandra. And I had parents that telling me that they liked this because of what Sandra was saying. Yeah, they um got cookies or chips or something, and
Right.
yes, yeah.
But Mr. Morgan, I got a question. What is the cost of a basic school lunch? Just a main entree, a side item, and a drink.
I'm going from there, Mr. Tucker, it's about $3.80. Shauna, does that sound about right? I think it's $3.80.
So we
Yeah.
can round it up to $4 a meal times 5 days a week. I mean, you look at $20 a week. And that's for a basic meal. What's the cost of the alternate lunch? Do you know that?
I want to say you basically get a ham and cheese or turkey and cheese or a cheese sandwich, some fruit, some raisins and a milk. It's running $1.70 maybe.
Okay. So cutting it in half, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
Just to
John,
add,
do you have any other? Oh, sorry, Dr. Houlihan.
oh, you're fine. I'm just gonna just add one piece of the board knows how this is being implemented, because I think Mr. Moore raised a good point in communication and parent awareness. So at the end of the week on Fridays, we identify the families or the students that have reached that $20 threshold. They get an email, a text, a phone call from us. The first week we implemented this, we had over 1,000 emails that went home. The second week we had less than 800. So in 1 week we're seeing, over 200 families that have received it already paying off their bill.
Yeah.
And so I think, that proactive communication is one piece that I think that is bringing awareness that in many cases, what we've learned, parents haven't known in the past until the very end of the school year that they even had any kind of debt. So I just wanted you all to know, like, that's how we're trying to keep parents in the loop on what the child's debt is. Sorry, Barry, go ahead.
No, that's perfectly fine. And I think that's great to make the parents aware before, the child gets provided the alternate lunch option. I think that's great. I will be the first to tell you I eat the same exact thing every day for lunch. There's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and perfectly healthy in my own mind. So I'm not.
Well,
I don't like these kids having to eat ham and cheese sandwiches, but I do know that it provides the nutrients that are needed to make it throughout the day. So, John, I don't know, other than having a discussion with, higher up officials at the state and federal level, I don't know any other option as far as what we're doing now.
Okay.
Oh, I agree. It's one of those things where you see both sides of the coin, I guess. And like I said, when we spoke, Barry, I said that we would talk about it, and people create narratives on social media. We know that, and they don't have all of the truths, which causes a ripple effect for people who just like to like and share stuff. So it's I'm glad to know that we're not embarrassing people or taking food away. Parents have to be responsible, but then there are parents who are struggling. They may not be able to, they may apply for free lunch and may not be able to get it, and just because you live in a certain zip code doesn't mean you're poor, and it doesn't mean you're rich, so there's some struggling going on across the board. And again, I don't know how we could, I don't want to say fix this, but what would be another alternative? And I think that these conversations are good and healthy, and I appreciate you all's feedback. And I encourage the community to reach out. If you have ideas, we have an opportunity every month when something is put on the agenda that you can send an email or reach out to us and give an idea. If you see something better, you see something that can be more effective, let us know, communicate. But don't just throw us under the bus when you don't have all the facts. That's crazy. And like Sandra said, a lot of this debt is coming from snacks and cookies and all that stuff, and those things add up. So,
Well, John, I think if we actually kind of dive deep into it, a lot of the debt, is coming from, I guess what you would say the higher income communities. So, I mean, should not be a problem.
but like I just said, everybody who live in a certain zip code, you may be house rich, but you might not be financially stable.
Correct.
So yeah, you can master looking good, and then you may be struggling. So I'm not trying to count nobody's coins. I'm trying to keep
You
mine.
make it.
So we really need to I would love to continue these conversations. These are good conversations. These help strengthen us as a school system, to give us opportunity to share and provide options if we can. But I appreciate all the hard work that the cafeteria staff is doing, because it is a hard job, and they get a lot of negative feedback as well. So, yeah.
And don't knock the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, because those are the bomb.
Every day, that's my favorite.
Do you put bananas on it?
When I'm feeling extra.
When you're feeling on the edge. I hear you. All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. So that's all of the topics for today. Our next meeting will be October the 21st, 2025, 8 a.m. virtual. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So
moved.
Second.
Second.
All right. All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All right. You all have a great day and stay safe.
You do the
Have a good
same.
day.
Thank you.
Bye.